All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Dave, and this is The Radical Independent. You know, when I started doing this channel, I had woke up. I know there's this term everybody uses now, woke liberal, woke conservative. Woke basically means that you're awake to the things that you believe are the most important, and even if those things are truly despicable, it's your ideology. It's what you are passionate about. I started this channel basically to try to bust on some neocon type people. And then I stumbled upon Tulsi Gabbard in the Democratic primary. This was after I had abandoned Donald Trump because he had surrounded himself. I think the stuff in Venezuela might have been the last straw. I wasn't too happy with those missiles that were going up and being lobbed into Syria for no reason. Because it was for no reason. I mean, you don't launch an attack without conclusive data, and that's what the United States did. And Trump was doing it to get the media on his side, which for about 48 hours they were on his side. So he spent quite a bit of money for 2 days of positive media coverage. And then I started to listen to Tulsi Gabbard, and I heard a new type of candidate. I heard somebody who could bring both the left and the right together. I heard somebody who had real independent-minded, progressive-type policies that weren't Democrat policies, by the way. I know people will say, well, that's what the Democrats are. The Democrats are all of this, you know, free college and so forth, but those really aren't Democratic policies. Because the establishment within the party, they don't want those things. And what I've realized is white, highly educated liberal people who are older are in this party and destroying this party. You could say what you want about conservatives. A lot of conservative people are older as well. And that's why I think both of these parties, not to bash on old people, because old people are supposed to be wise and and they're supposed to know more than you and I. But a lot of them walk in lockstep with one another. And this video here really shows what Tulsi Gabbard is up against. Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard, but I'm going to focus on Tulsi Gabbard because I believe Tulsi Gabbard is a blue-collar, working-class hero, as is Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie Sanders talks more about economic issues, but when you boil it down, so does Tulsi Gabbard, because she's talking about this economic elephant in the room, which is the military-industrial complex, which nobody wants to touch. And if you watch Tulsi Gabbard give a stump speech, you'll realize that everything flows down from this idea that we have to stop being an empire. I didn't used to believe this stuff. When I was a conservative, and like I say, I was more of a libertarian conservative, I don't know what I am now, so if you try to put me in a box, I'm not going to fit in there. But I used to firmly believe that, hey, you know, we're just doing what we need to do. We're going around the world. We're kicking butt. We're taking names. We're putting dictators away, and we're doing what we're supposed to do. Our influence needs to be felt all around the world. Nope, no more. I don't believe that. Because number one, we're bankrupting the country. Number two, we're turning the world against us. People want to know why 9/11 happened. It's our policies that provoked 9/11. Even if you don't believe in some grand conspiracy, and there are plenty of people out there who give very convincing connect-the-dot type arguments about 9/11. But there's no doubt that when we're going around the world exerting our strength and our force in places that, quite frankly, we shouldn't be, it finally caught up with us on that day. And everybody wanted to just say, well, these people are terrorists, they're bad, they're evil. Yes, all of that is true. But when you smack the hornet's nest, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to get stung. So I'm going to play this little clip here by Crystal Ball. That is her name. At least you can remember it, right? She's doing this really good show over on The Hill. And she's a rising star. I know she's been around for a while, but she's really sort of hit a groove here. And she's talking about Elizabeth Warren, the new chosen one, and an article that was written about Elizabeth Warren. And this was in a newspaper. This was not in like Vanity Fair or Glamour magazine or some fawning type publication that does opinion in a way where it's almost like a puff piece. This is in a major American newspaper. I'll let Crystal explain this.
The Post's theater critic is reviewing the performances of the Democratic candidates. In this installment, Elizabeth Warren cuts a Shakespearean figure in Arizona. Now, as fawning as the setup was, the ensuing content was even worse. On the road, she's an oratorical rock star, a narrator intones. Warren bounds onto the stage. Her wardrobe is a blouse worn untucked over dark slacks and open-toed shoes. The outfit conveys a lack of pretense, a person ready to meet you on equal terms. The article said, in a grittily poetic way, her spiel is akin to that of a folksy troubadour, whatever that is. She is the Springsteen of campaign 2020. It was really something, guys, and as I listened uncomfortably, I realized they are all in for her. I mean, look, you all know I respect Bernie Sanders, I don't hide the ball on that, but if I ever put out a video about anyone that is this obsequiously fawning and devoid of substance, I demand that you unsubscribe en masse. Lest you write this off, though, as just one article, take a look at this from 538. So Warren was mentioned in more online news stories last week than any other candidate, and she saw a significant jump in her cable news coverage. So did Sanders, by the way, but mostly because they were so mad about him daring to criticize the Bezos-owned Washington Post. Or if you need more proof, Bloomberg reports that at the Monogram shop in East Hampton, a place where the wealthy apparently go to buy cups bearing the names of their favorite candidates, all the Warren cups are sold out.
All the Warren cups are sold out. Who's going to vote for Elizabeth Warren? Are any blue collar, call them blue class if you want. Maybe I just invented a new term there. Are any blue collar people going to vote for Elizabeth Warren? Again, this is the problem with the elitists and not connecting. Okay, and I lecture a lot of progressives who go out there and they say things that completely alienate working class people. All right, not everybody is down with the identity politics and the wedge issues and the constant focus on things that don't affect you from day to day, which is what Elizabeth Warren will be to this campaign. By the way, if you're concerned about the military-industrial complex, only Tulsi Gabbard is addressing it. Elizabeth Warren wants to make the military more green. That is her solution. Like solar-powered tanks. I don't know. She doesn't want to eliminate our conflicts. She doesn't want to negotiate with dictators because that would mean that we're showing our weakness and so forth. And we need to, of course, send more troops into battle to do harm to others and probably to themselves in a way. Look, this video should be a wake-up call. That these people, and she made a point before this, is that they tried Mayor Pete, they tried Kamala. I'm trying to think. They went through a cycle of different candidates. They have now, it's like the wheel, they've spun the wheel and it's landed on Warren. Warren against Trump would be one of the weakest candidates to take on Donald Trump. If anybody could lose to Donald Trump, it would be Elizabeth Warren. Donald Trump will absolutely eviscerate her on the campaign trail. He is rubbing his hands together hoping that it's Warren. He does not want Bernie. He does not want Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not even sure he wants Joe Biden. I know that's weird for me to say. Although I think, if you're going to go up against Trump, you do have to have all of your faculties, and that might be a problem for Joe Biden. And eventually I think Trump would probably, just outgun, outperform, outlast Joe Biden. But the fact that the media elites know that Biden might be in trouble, that's the other thing. And she did a good job explaining why there is crossover between Biden, Bernie, and she didn't mention Tulsi, but Tulsi's in this too. Because working class people understand that we need infrastructure. We need healthcare. We need just some things where if we're having trouble surviving, that all of this tax money that I'm putting into this giant pot is being sent overseas somewhere. People are starting to wake up to that. Hey, where's this money going? Well, it's not local. I mean, yeah, your local government does some, but the federal government is supposed to take care of the highways and the bridges and the roads and the infrastructure. I know some conservatives don't even like hearing that, but that's what the government is supposed to do. It's supposed to protect us, and it's supposed to maintain all of this stuff, and that's why they collect taxes. Instead, they're sending it somewhere else so we can blow up those things and then have to go in and fix what we just destroyed. This video from Crystal Ball should be a wake-up call, should be mandatory viewing for those of you who suspect that you're getting duped and the system is completely rigged. This is why we need a third way. I would love to see Tulsi or Bernie run as a third-party candidate. And I'm hoping somehow that Tulsi and or Bernie can withstand all of this nonsense and just go directly to the people. Social media, this is why big tech and all of these companies, they're trying to regulate us because we're waking up to the fact that we don't need corporate media, that we can speak to each other, we can do videos like this one, and we can also give our opinions freely and have others agree, and then say if I get shut down or somebody says, well, this video is inappropriate, we're going to demonetize you, even though I've said nothing that is offensive. I've not used any offensive language. I have not put out any conspiracy theories. These aren't conspiracy theories to think that the Democratic primary is rigged against Tulsi Gabbard. It is. And everybody knows it. And somewhat against Bernie Sanders. And the proof we have is 2016. And we're seeing it now with this whole debate nonsense where, oh, well, you know, that's not a qualified poll. Even though she qualified in 24 polls, yeah, we determined that most of those aren't, you know, DNC approved. And then we don't explain what criteria we are using. Folks, it's more serious, though, than just doing a video like I'm doing right now. I really want stuff to change. Okay, the video is to get people fired up and make them aware of what's going on. This woman, Crystal Ball, I give her a lot of credit. She's got courage. And she does it, by the way, smiling and understanding that she's in a lane that's a dangerous lane for her. As far as her career goes, she's going to get hit by other commentators who are all in for the status quo, who just want, hey, let's just change the name on the sign from Trump to Biden, and we can go on, we can wake up in the morning and know that that buffoon is not in the White House anymore. Well, guess what? I hate to say something nice about Trump, but Trump isn't as trigger-happy as Joe Biden, as Kamala Harris, and as Elizabeth Warren. Jill Stein, she knew that. She said, of the two candidates, the two major candidates, back in the 2016 election, she feared Hillary Clinton more than Donald Trump. Maybe she just thought Trump wouldn't win, and she could say that. And obviously she was trying to peel votes away from Hillary, and she did. But the point being is she's right. And that's what a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter lately say, if they give us Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, I might go and vote for Trump. And I was like, whoa. Here's the deal. We know that Trump doesn't like the establishment. And he's put that out there. But here's the problem, and I would sit down with one of these nice people and I'd say, look, I understand your frustration with the DNC. Go third party. Build a movement, please. Don't go over to Trump. Let's build a movement. Trump is hoping that you're going to get frustrated and you're going to go back to him. But the Trump economy, it's not a sustainable economy because it's built completely on this notion that we have to keep building up the military so we can employ people to build bombs and weapons systems and airplanes and everything else that the MIC needs. And meanwhile, blue-collar Bob out in the Midwest somewhere, who lost his manufacturing job, who might have gotten a job back that pays half and doesn't offer any of the benefits or wages, or pays half, yeah, I said that already, but benefits and maybe working conditions, none of those things, those jobs are gone. And there's no plan on how to transition those folks into different types of skills. That's why we need free public college. It would help the economy. That's why we need student loan forgiveness, because you've got all of these millennials and others, older people out there who have this huge weight, okay? Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders. Yeah, I know, Elizabeth Warren has talked about eliminating student loan debt. Okay, but how are you going to eliminate student loan debt and still run the military-industrial complex at full strength? It's like giving tax cuts to people and then, wanting to do all of this infrastructure building. At a certain point, it doesn't add up. It happens in my local town. I mean, they won't even build a fire station here because they call it socialism. I live in a very, very conservative part of Florida where it's knee-jerk conservatism. And I go, okay, but I'm okay with sending my tax money so we can have a fire station so our response times are within reason. That's how it hits locally, all right? And this is a battle for who we are as a country. What priorities are we going to stand together on? And I'm not all that smart. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm not all that smart, but I can see, based on this video, that there are a bunch of elitists. She called them white liberal people with, high education and high income, and they kind of look down their noses at everybody else rather than working to help those people. It's in the book Listen Liberal, behind me, Thomas Frank. It's in that book. The Democratic Party abandoned working class people. So you have Bernie, you have Tulsi out there. And maybe you'll have a Green Party candidate if they can put someone forward who doesn't have a few screws loose. I'd love to see Dr. Jill Stein run again, just to have her voice out there, in case this happens, because it doesn't appear that either Tulsi or Bernie are going to run as a third-party candidate. The infrastructure is there. If Bernie wanted to do it and make Tulsi the VP, or vice versa, put her at the top of the ticket, I don't know. Our country needs to be shaken up. And I don't mean in a violent way or anything like that. What I'm saying is our country has to be shaken from their addiction to just the status quo and not caring. Because that's what we've got right now. And if you're looking at Elizabeth Warren as the savior, no. I mean, you've got an older, privileged white woman who, okay, so she breaks the girl power thing. Yay, she does that. Okay, for all of you identity politics, intersectionality type people, who cares? Everybody's lives pretty much stay the same. All of these proposals that she's got are half measures. They're not full measures. We need full measures, and we need commitment. You can't have somebody who, in one breath, says, hey, I support our actions in this country or that country, or I vote for this large military budget, partly because Raytheon is in my backyard, but the other reason is because that's who you are. This woman was a former Rockefeller-style Republican, and those are the worst kind. You can say what you want about like the Ted Cruzes of the world, but there are little strains of populism out there in the Republican Party, not the Rockefeller wing, not the Bill Kristol wing. So that's a scary candidate, and she's right now she's courting all of these big media types, and she is their go-to person. And on the other end of this, we're all just praying and struggling and hoping that we can push Tulsi Gabbard into the next debate. We can will this to happen. We can petition this to happen. But guess what? If the powers that be shut her out, folks, can you just think about a third party, a movement? I mean, at this point, we need it. Okay, and yes, we have Bernie out there. We can hope for Bernie. All right, but my guess is that eventually it's going to be Biden against Warren. And if Biden continues to screw up, and the only reason I say that is because they just keep pushing Warren up in the polls. They can do anything they want with polling data. But they're just going to keep pushing and pushing in that direction. And what's going to happen is Biden's cognitive skills are really going to look just completely depleted standing next to Elizabeth Warren, who is a pretty sharp cookie. I don't like a lot of what she says, and I think it's very tribalist, and she's also a collusion hoaxer on top of all of that. And I don't want one of those people. I want someone who believes in reality and understands that you need to defeat Donald Trump based on issues and not on fairy tales. All right, so very long video. Tulsi Gabbard getting certainly eclipsed by media coverage of Elizabeth Warren, as are all the other candidates too. Talk to you soon.